couple weeks ago, we started shooting on the iPhone 5S.
That's right.
That was it was my dad's old iPhone, and I haven't really had a chance to upgrade it. Never really wanted to. It's pretty trusty, but I got excited about iMovie movie editing, and decided to start doing it. And I was always inspired by what you were doing, and we have some equipment here that you normally use. But why don't you tell me a little bit about how we got to this point?
All right. Well, we could probably turn the clocks back to 1990. I would have to say 5 or 96, when my dad finally let me touch the family's Sony VHS camcorder. I mean, this thing was huge, dude. It was like a piece of luggage on your shoulder. But I hit the ground running with it, and it was a passion to where I started. Just making videos of this random stuff, birds, airplanes, whatnot, and it spiraled out of control but it spiraled out of control in a good way, but it spiraled out of control in a sense that I became a passion, so I actually went and volunteered at a local TV station, HGTV. It's called TV33 on a cable channel and whatnot. It was public access, community access channel, and it was great. And then once I hit high school, that was it. We had a TV production class. And we had the coolest teacher ever. His name was Mr. Bahari, Mr. B. Before he became our TV production teacher, he was the band manager for System of a Down.
Nice.
So this dude was cool.
Right.
He was really cool. When you're in high school, a guy like that is great.
Wow.
And Mr. B, this is a shout out to you, bro. Thank you for sharing so much techniques and knowledge with all of us in that TV class, because you taught me a lot. And so I learned on the big, huge machines. I think we called it Etna. It was a big, huge, like VHS reel-to-reel system.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy, and a lot went into it. But at that same time, I would say the second year of high school in TV production class, we started switching over to digital. So we had the first IMAX. I think they were IMAX. They were the little things, and they had the round mouse where, you had to have the cord facing forward or the mouse is going the wrong way. But anyways, we started on iMovie, and it was amazing. And I just remember ever since then, I just always did video. And here we are now. I bought my this is my second camera I've ever purchased. My first was the Canon GL2, and that was a great camera. I loved it. But now I have the Sony Alpha 6500. It records at 4K, and that's how I became where I am right now. I did a lot of music videos, a lot of filming, but that's how I got here. We're at Teen Challenge now, and I work for the media. Excuse me, that lamb chop just tore me up. Man. Did you have the lamb chop?
I did have the lamb chop.
You have lamb chops.
It was fantastic.
They were good, but they had a little pasta sauce on them. I think it just gave me that little,
yeah.
Yeah. All right. So that's a little bit about me. If you guys want to know, let me turn over to you, Jesse. How did you become where you're at now?
Yeah. Well, if we could generalize. Your expertise would be broadcasting, right? I guess would that be a more general term? Broadcasting?
Yep, I did go to school for television broadcasting.
All right.
Studio broadcasting.
Yep. Well, so then their fine lines cross because there's always something that's happening in front of the camera or in front of the show, right?
Yeah, right.
And you're helping capture that. And then there are people who work behind the scenes. If we stare off to the left, our lighting guy, a little bit lightweight,
yeah, what's
right?
up, Gary? Thanks,
yes.
buddy, by the way.
Thanks, appreciate it. Yeah. So my journey started when I was 19. I joined the Navy after September 11th happened in New York. We're currently in New York.
Long
Island, shout out. And after September 11th happened, I felt a call to serve my country. So I went and I joined the Navy and I enlisted. My dad wanted me to make the most out of my brain that I had. So I became an aviation electronics technician. So I ended up learning the H-60 radar system, H-60 Black Hawk Down movie, right?
Yeah.
The Navy uses H-60s, the Coast Guard uses the Jayhawk, and the Army uses the Black Hawk. This is the Seahawk in the Navy. Mm-hmm. So I repaired those, and then I did some work on the E-2C Hawkeye, which is air traffic control in the sky, and then also EA-6B Prowlers. Got to spend some time on a couple aircraft carriers. And then when I left there, I got to work for a little company. They might not like this, a pretty big company called Disney's California Adventure.
Ooh,
in California.
Those are big dogs.
Yes. And I became what was called a sound mechanic. And the reason why it was called a sound mechanic was because that was technically the only thing this position would take care of back when there was nothing else but PA speakers to take care of. Everything audio, video, lighting, and ride control. Technician. So systems troubleshooting, the less of the engineering side and the more of just the repair side. and I did that for 7 years. I came to Teen Challenge, and then I started to do kind of what you did on this side. The sort of the engineering side as it pertains to sound.
Yep.
Systems set up for church services and things like that, and Rock the Block concerts, some outside venues.
Rock the Block.
Spiritual Emphasis would be the California equivalent. Which brings us to this year. Now we're doing Rock the Block. So we used to have a 3-day tent revival in California. Now we have 3-day revivals at 3 separate individual days, sometimes in a week, right? Rock the Block. What's a little bit? Tell us a little about Rock the Block, Nick.
Rock the Block is an urban street outreach where we go in Long Island, Brooklyn, and sometimes Albany Teen Challenge come with us. What we do is we go out to the 5 boroughs of New York, and what we do is we go and we set up a huge, like, elaborate stage, but it's a good elaborate, and we fly the speaker towers. We have I believe 8 line arrays, a JBL system, 4 huge subwoofers, and a beautiful board. You can get more into that. But the crazy thing is we got a huge LED wall, we got the drone. But the amazing thing about Rock the Block is the souls and lives being saved by coming to Jesus Christ. If you have any more questions, and if I wasn't able to answer anything, the little plug-in is you can check out rocktheblock.org, or you can check them out on Facebook. Just go onto that little search bar on Facebook and type in Rock the Block. Or you can also check out more about Teen Challenge if you know or if you know anyone who is suffering from a life-controlling issue such as drug, alcohol, depression, anything. Go ahead and check us out. Long Island Teen Challenge. We have Albany Teen Challenge, Brooklyn Teen Challenge, Buffalo Teen Challenge, and Syracuse Teen Challenge. And if you're in the Dominican Republic, we have a Dominican Republic Teen Challenge also. Rock the Block is a ministry of Long Island Teen Challenge and Freedom Chapel International Worship Center out in Amityville, New York.
That's awesome. So in a day, we get to set up and do things during the Rock the Block season more often. So we get there and we set up a stage, and we set up some trussing, and we set up an LED wall, and then we get to mess around with little toys like these. So we thought we'd just share some stuff. This one is new to the bunch. This would be for the iPhone, right? The iPhone 5S, and
do we have an iPhone 5S yet?
We do have an iPhone 5S.
Or an iPhone.
It's funny you asked that. I do have an iPhone 5 right here.
Oh, okay,
right
cool,
here.
man. Yeah.
So we would just clip it in here, right? Clip it in here, and we could video. We put up on the shelf, right?
Why don't you hit record so we can see what it looks like if we would have set up on a table or something, you know? Yeah, yo. Listen, this is one thing that drives me nuts. Not with him, but with other people. They hand me their phone, or not even hand me their phone. Like, you see those greasy photos or videos on, people sharing on YouTube or Facebook. Just take 2 seconds to wipe off your lens. That's all it takes. 2 seconds. Take your shirt and wipe it off. I'm telling you, your pictures will be so much better. So, is this the shot? Ooh, she's teetering over that way. There we go. I saw when you pulled your hand away, she went, So is it recording?
It is recording. We are recording.
All right, so tell them a little more of the toy here.
All right, so we're using the iPhone 5S. I've actually got the automatic exposure lock on because we already have lighting in the shot that we staged already, so we don't need the iPhone to adjust for itself.
Good.
We are using the forward-facing camera. We're getting pretty good at staging our shots. The forward-facing camera on an iPhone's always got more megapixels, always
of course, yeah,
higher quality lens,
high
right?
Resolution too,
and the phone is actually sideways. Tell them why that matters, Nick.
So if you want to, that's another thing that drives me nuts about people with phones. So for instance, here, most of our time, people hold their phone like this and they record. So if you're going to record like this is how your footage is going to look. Oh, hey, look it. Oh, wow. Yeah, look. Oh, look, it's so nice. Yeah, well, it's not just pixelated, but it doesn't take up the full screen. No. But check this out. If you turn your phone this way, all right, and then start recording, wow, look at that. We got Jesse full screen. Isn't that amazing? Look at that, guys. That's great. And he's handsome, too.
We could do a little sparkle on the tooth or something, man.
Ding. All right, here's your phone back, brother.
All right. We got this little splitter here. It's a female to male splitter.
Yep.
Let's see where we might have this. Oh, amazing!
My broken H4n.
We have this broken H4n, but
just to
just the mics. These are the onboard mics, right? That we could record from these, or we have these plugins in the bottom that we can feed an isolated input into the recorder. And there's actually two different sorts of inputs. We can use an XLR, or we can use a quarter-inch connection.
Right.
So technically, if we had one line coming in and there was a left and right, it was a stereo input. Yeah. It would be something like this, right? And what would you have on the opposite end? Let's say this cord was a little bit longer. We might have something like this sitting on the table. It's a nice little studio mic. Yeah. Plug it into the mic, and whatever we're recording, we can set it on the table here and record into this handy-dandy recorder.
And it'd be coming through left and right channels.
It would be a stereo input, but you could do it mono as well, too.
This is correct.
It's kind of like back in the old day when we used to set up your car stereo system, right? You could either bridge a subwoofer, right? We called it bridging the subwoofer. It's a mono signal, right? And we have this. This is another thing similar to what I've got here. You can also put LED lights, little show lighting on there, right?
We have the LED lights on our sides.
Mood lighting. What is it? What do they call that? What I'm not sure what the name for lighting. I fix lighting, but what is the technical term?
I don't think that. That's the one thing I'm still studying is lighting, the positioning of lighting. Me and him both wear glasses, so I'm sure throughout this whole shot that we're doing here, you can see the lights and the reflection. The glare. So, unfortunately, in our current studio right now, the ceiling's very low, so we can't get the lighting high enough, so it's out of the shot, but still lighting us up. So, but we have 3 studio lightings, and one for backlighting, kinda. This one over here, we have one over here for backlighting. And then we have another small LED. We have the 2 back side LEDs warm, and then the rest are all cool color. But before we get ahead, I want to let you know that you said we have 2 XLR inputs, and they also double up as a 1/4 inch, correct?
Yep.
But guess what? There's a bonus. We even have an 1/8 inch input right there.
1/8 inch input. Which would be like a headphone jack or something,
Yep,
right?
or like, yeah, it's exactly. It looks like a headphone jack that you put in your iPhone or whatnot. But that's usually for like those really small Rode mics or like a shotgun mic that you put on top of your camera. If you want to go to a boom and then run like an extension line to that 1/8 inch and go right into here. I suggest you use one of these because you can have more control over your sound. And in post-production, it's actually very easy. If you want to line up your audio with your onboard camera audio, all you got to do is just those 3 claps. They'll spike. The waveform will spike, and you'll see when you can line them up. It's easy. I can do it in my sleep.
So when you talking about lining them up, what are we using to line them up? What are we talking about?
Okay, so when I'm in post-production in Final Cut Pro, what I do is you got the audio that's on the video clip, and then you got the audio clip itself. So when you import them, it shows the wavelength of the audio coming through. And now the higher the spike, the louder the audio is, or what would you say? You're the engineer, bro. I don't know. I just make up my own terms. I'm Italian. We make up words.
And don't let it peak. Don't let it get in the red zone.
Never let it get above that 0.
We don't like red zones in audio.
Not at all, because then it'll sound.
Yes.
I think it would. This is like peaking audio, and it's probably really obnoxious. Anyways, that's what you don't want. So always make sure you got the gain right. But you'll have you'll like 3 spikes in the waveform within your time clip there, and what you do is just line them up, and then you can take the video clip volume all the way down to 0, and you can use your external audio clip. And it's just way better than an onboard camera audio, unless you're using something like the Sony A6500, which I gotta say has phenomenal stereo microphones in it. It's got 2 microphones right above the lens housing, and they just record great. But we'll still use this.
For this current application, we just want to more for effect, maybe, right?
That too, but also because we got a Brazilian and a Guatemalan next door in the barber shop, and they're bumping some thrice. So we didn't really want that in here. We wanted our own music.
So we have this overhead mic, and some of the applications you might use it for, maybe a choir mic.
Yeah.
Or we would use it for some overheads on some cymbals on a drum set.
On a drum set, that's correct.
Or here in the studio, and it has what we call phantom power. It is an active mic, right?
Right. Well, it does have phantom power, right?
Yep.
And on a recorder like